What's happening, guys? Down here at the workshop. Last time we got the fuel tank out and the subframe out. Today, just gonna clean the fuel tank. Just gonna put some gas in it, swirl it around, tip it out, get all the dirt and whatever is in the tank out. Give it a water blast, chuck it back up. The subframe, gotta put a locky that I've got in it, another ABS diff that originally came out of my Cefiro. I thought I was gonna have to put a non-ABS diff in, but I found out that that single piece drive shaft that I got is actually for a car with an ABS diff. Just gonna chuck that in, then water blast the subframe and get that back in the Silvia. Got the compressor here, just gonna hose all the dust off pretty much. Just blew a lot of the dust and shit around the top, so when we go to take all this off and clean it, no more dust sort of falls in and fights this. So got some gas in it, just gonna swirl it around, try and get all the dust, dirt, particles or whatever, and just tip them all out and then chuck it back in. Alright kids, work smarter, not harder. So we've got to get our subframe outside so we can clean it. Got that little board there that's just sitting on some wheels. Just gonna roll the fucker outside. Just sprayed the subframe, pressure washer, cleaned a lot of the dirt and shit off it, and then I used the air compressor to blow all the water off it, just so when we go to chuck it in the car, it's not all wet and pain in the ass to work on. But what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to swap the diffs out real quick. Easy to do it while the subframe's out, and then we'll bang it in. You guys have seen me take a diff out before. It's pretty easy. It's just these, which are 12s, under here 17, and there's two on the back that are just 19. And obviously, because the subframe's out of the car, it's going to make getting this thing out so much easier. And finally got help for once. Old Jamesy boy.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've been on camera.
Yeah, no doughies this time.
We've gone to take the diff out, and that's what the axle is supposed to look like. It's supposed to have like this, I don't know, cover bit on it. But on this, we'll come over here, you can see that it's got stuck inside the axle stub. So can't really see a way to get this out without fucking it, because we've got a screwdriver in there and just like tried to lightly, you know, tweak it out, but all it does is just bends this in and the whole thing just doesn't move at all, so not sure what we're going to do. Alright, so until we figure out what we're going to do with that axle before we put the diff in, we're just going to chuck the fuel tank in and potentially get a new axle, but probably not going to be able to sort that today or even this weekend, so we'll at least get the fuel tank in.
Something like that.
Yep, that'll work. Alright, so we've got James under the car here, bench pressing the fuel tank in.
Getting those gains.
Alright, so we got the straps for the fuel tank, so you know, make sure you tighten up your strap-ons, kids. Took a couple of screwdrivers to get this out of the diff, but motherfuckers! Alright, so we managed to get this thing out of the diff just with a couple of screwdrivers, but as you can see, we've well and truly fucked it. Put 3 holes in it. Got the fuel tank in and got the little protective cover in as well. But I think that's all we're gonna be able to do with the subframe today. I'm gonna need to sort that axle out, and I've got another bolt, another nut that I've got to get, because one of the ones for the backing plate on the diff is pretty rounded. So what I can do is I have taken the backing plate that was on that diff, which is what came out of the Silvia, so that's an open diff. And I have an ABS locky, which is what I need to work with the drive shaft, but it had this 4 backing plate on it, which is for the subframe that's in the Cefiro. So I've taken the backing plate from the S14 diff, chucked it on this, so now this can go back in the subframe once we sort that axle. Another long time no see. Mace is finally working on his car. What, so you reckon we're doing a garage skid later on?
Oh, don't know about today, but eventually.
So what you guys just saw was a couple weeks ago. Filmed all that stuff and kept that footage aside for when we'd finished what we were doing. Obviously the original plan was to sort the axle out and get the subframe back in the Silvia. But since then, a lot has changed with my plans for not only the Silvia, but also both of my Cefiro's. I'll explain everything now. Basically, Aaron, the guy that I brought the Silvia off down in Dunedin, he came up last weekend for the Drift South Drift School. He brought me up an RB30. When I did the video with Sam and I put the post up on my personal Facebook page, I sort of jokingly said that I wanted an RB30 now. And I got a few people hitting me up with offers, and yeah, Aaron was one of them. So I ended up buying an RB30 block, and the original plan with that motor was to actually get a Series 25 DE head, which is a non-VCT head, and just slap it on the block, because the block is supposedly a rebuilt block, new rings, bottom end bearings, and yeah, so it was pretty much good to go. So the plan was to get a Series A head, chuck that on, and actually put it in the Cefiro here. So obviously it's got a RB20 deck now, real standard, just with obviously a top mount, turbo setup and a bigger turbo, external gate. The original plan for this was that I have, my uncle's got another RB20 out in his storage unit that I was going to buy, rebuild, and when it was ready to go in, just swap the motors out in one go. But when Aaron and that were loading up the motor, unfortunately it started raining, and as you can see, it's got quite a lot of surface rust on it now, obviously on the deck and in the bores here as well. This basically needs a rebuild now, so I can get these bores honed out. Obviously it needs a rebuild, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to rebuild it. But instead of rebuilding it for the Cefiro, I'm actually going to rebuild it, go all out on it, and put it in the Silvia. And what I mean by that is all the bearings and rings in it should be fine, because obviously it's been rebuilt. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the crank collar done on it. If you know about the RB oil pumps and stuff, is that they often shatter. It's not because of the oil pumps themselves, it's because the collar that's on the crank that drives the oil pump, it's not long enough. So it doesn't go all the way into the oil pump. So when you're on the limiter and you're really hard on it, it ends up shattering the oil pump gear. So what you do, you take the crank off, you get that collar machined off, and you get a longer one slipped on. I'm now going to be putting that in the Silvia. Not only am I going all out on the motor, but I am now going to be going all out on the Silvia, which means that it isn't going to be done until next summer now. I am still going to be drifting this summer, which is where my other Cefiro comes in, the one that I brought to pull the 25 out of. I'll get to that in a second. I'll finish talking about the Silvia first though. So we've obviously got the subframe out. Subframe's sitting here. We still need to chuck that back in. So we're going to bang that in at some point soon, just so that I can get this rolling, so I can push it around. It's not in my way. But this will be coming back out again. I'm probably going to get it painted, make it look all nice, and get solid subframe bushes in, solid diff mounts, and then also take the front subframe out and do the exact same thing. So I was going to be running a 20 deck box behind the 25 deck, because the 25 was only going to make like 250 horsepower. But the plan for the 30, since I'm going all out on it, I'm going to be going Synco, whole set turbo, front facer, and a link, and I'm going to get a brand new harness done, just so we are no old plugs or anything like that. It's nice, new, and shouldn't give us any problems. But yeah, we're going to be aiming for about like 450 horsepower with that, maybe even closer to 500. So a 20 deck gearbox is not going to be good enough for the 30 in this car. So I'm going to look at getting a CD09, something like that. And I'm also going to be doing drop knuckle in the rear with a dual caliper setup, full array of rear arms, adjustable rear arms, and obviously, since I'm going to be going all out on it with all the performance and stuff, I'm also going to make it look good too. Because obviously now, as you can see, it isn't the prettiest. We're still going to be painting the inside soon, probably in a couple weeks, but I'm also going to be doing the outside, making it look all good. So like I said, this won't be done until next summer now. So then over the next year, we're going to transform it from this into a fully functioning drift car that's actually going to be really competitive. As for this thing, I still want to put a new motor in this. I've always, all along, wanted to put a 25 det in this. And obviously because the Silvia is now getting the 30 det, the 25 that was going to be going in it, I'm now going to be putting in the cefiro. So as you can see here, I've got this 25 det all ready to go pretty much. I've still got 3 snap studs in here, so I need to take these out, and then this can be dropped straight into the cefiro there, because the loom that came with the motor and the other cefiro I've still got, so I'm able to just chuck that straight in that. So that's gonna be good. I'm gonna be doing that probably sometime in the next sort of 3-4 months. So the plan is to get the 25 det in and get the car suited before summer. I'm gonna be running a top mount setup on it, a new setup, not the setup that's on the 20. So currently on the 20, it's got a SCR 280, which is it's a good upgrade over a 25 det turbo, that's for sure. So it's an AR50 front, and the rear is I think it's an AR37, something like that. So it's a pretty small rear housing, but it's really responsive on this 20, which is good. So when the 25 goes in, I'm going to upgrade to an SCR 320, which is the same front housing, just a slightly larger rear housing. Probably going to do a front facer, just some slightly bigger injectors, and get a NIS tune and probably a Z32 AFM, and probably look to make, like, I don't know, somewhere between 350 and 400 horsepower out of it. Priority at the moment is going to be pull the 20 out of this, and that's where we're going to be resurrecting my other cefiro that's been sitting in my parents' house. So we're going to take the 20 det that's in this and chuck it in that, and that is going to be the car that I'm going to use to drift in over the summer. So obviously, because it doesn't have a roll cage, I can't take passengers or do tandem stuff on track. I can at the Kaikoura track, because obviously it's it's a bit down low, but we'll be definitely taking it out there quite a lot, ripping it up, and I'll still be able to do all the Drift South drift school days, all the have a go days. And I can still actually compete in the summer. I can do the development series, because it's not battling, it's sort of just like single pass runs, it's sort of judged, something like that. I need to look into it a bit more, but yeah, so that's going to be the plan with that thing. So the motor's going to be coming out of this cefiro next weekend, and it should just be a direct swap into the other body. So look forward to some good content with my 2 cefiros for sort of the rest of the year. And then next year, sort of in the beginning of the year, once my street cefiro is legal, and obviously the other one, it's just gonna be my cheap drift hack, then I'm gonna start buying parts and start working out a plan for this thing. So that'll be it for this one. Cheers for watching. You guys have shown heaps of support recently. The channel has grown a lot. It's grown so much more than I thought it would up to this point. It's awesome. So keep it up, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.